Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, Darius Garland, Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton. 5 all-star level players whose playoff dreams were ruined by injury, who watched as the team that suffered no major injuries, the Thunder, marched to a championship. We have been told that the NBA playoffs have always been this way. The healthiest team wins the title, there's nothing we can do about it. That is a lie. From 2025 to 2021, 34 all-stars missed at least one playoff game. From 2005 to 2001, that number was just 14. Yikes. The NBA is at a make or break point as viewership has continued to fall. And stars missing big playoff games is certainly not helping, but there is hope. Because this is a new problem, there must be a reason for it, and there must be a solution. Today, we are going to map out that solution. We are going to answer the question, when the games matter the most, how can the NBA keep their stars on the court? Because the 2019 Golden State Warriors were supposed to be a rare occurrence. In game 1 of the 2019 finals, Kevin Durant went down with an Achilles injury and missed the rest of the series. Klay Thompson also suffered an injury in these finals, and Golden State missed out on a chance to three-peat. They missed out on a chance to write their names in NBA history, but avoiding every injury situation like this is impossible. In fact, the 2015 Warriors benefited from injuries to both Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. But the problem here comes with the rate that these injuries are occurring, combined with the current stance by the NBA that there isn't a problem. In January of 2024, the NBA released a report that stated that there was no link between players using the load management strategy and injuries. This report was seen as extremely biased, with many claiming it was the league's way of trying to justify getting teams to stop load management, and we know for a fact that the NBA does have an injury problem. There is no denying that the amount of all-stars injured in the playoffs now is almost triple than it was 20 years ago. The data here doesn't lie, and these injuries are costing us as fans much more than we realize. NBA history matters for the future of the game. Imagine if Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen went down during either of the Bulls three-peats and the Bulls lost. Imagine if Kobe or Shaq went down during the Lakers three-peat. Lifelong fans were built on the success of the NBA's biggest stars and their biggest teams. We know that we can't prevent injuries completely, but what we can do is look as hard as possible for a solution to limit them. Load management became popular because players and teams know that right now, players do need more rest than ever before. The question is, why? We have heard constantly that the old NBA of the 80s and 90s and early 2000s was much more physical. In today's day and age, with no hand check rule, with a less physical game in general, shouldn't we be seeing less injuries? This is where NBA data tracking comes into play. It turns out that in the modern pace and space era, players are putting more miles on their legs than ever before. A recent study concluded that the amount of miles covered on a court by a single player has increased by 9% since 2015. Looking at this chart, we can see a direct correlation between miles run per game and the amount of injuries that have occurred. This is an answer that makes sense. The league is more athletic, players are running further distances in each game, and due to the spacing that the rise of three-pointers has brought, players in today's game need to cut and pivot more, much more than they used to in the 1990s. This has caused more injuries specifically to the lower halves of their bodies. Some people have blamed the increase in injuries to the low-top shoe trend. However, this study from December of 2023 concluded there was no difference in injury rate, post-injury performance, or recovery time by shoe type. If it's not the shoes though, how do we fix this injury problem? Well, the players have directly told us the answer, at least partially.
I would really appreciate it if there were a couple of days in between games in the playoffs. The days in between games, not just off day and a travel day, but a travel day and a recovery day. Just two days. I think the product of the game would be a lot better.
They want more rest. However, this is a tricky situation because players are making much more than ever before, so everyone expects them to be on the court whenever they can be. So what can the NBA realistically do to prevent playoff injuries? Shortening the regular season to 65 games is something that always pops up. It's something that always comes to mind. Dirk Nowitzki and LeBron actually directly asked for less games back in 2014.
The NBA's 82 games game regular season needs to be shortened. So says Dirk Nowitzki and LeBron James. I think you don't need 82 games to determine the best 8 in each conference. That could be done a lot quicker, but I always understand that it's about money, and every missed game means missed money for both parties. The minutes doesn't mean anything. We can play 50-minute games if we had to. It's just the games. We all, as players, think it's too many games in our season. 82 games is a lot.
But since Dirk and LeBron said this, crickets from the NBA, because shortening the season comes with a lot of problems. The NBA wants their money, and teams make roughly $5 million per game. Shortening the season by even 10 games is going to cost every team $50 million on top of the money the league will lose with less television games. We also have to consider records here. With a shortened season, no one will ever come close to LeBron James' all-time scoring record. The same goes for every all-time record. And finally, the players do not want a shortened season if it does cut into their salary, which it would if less revenue is made. The Athletic polled 153 players recently, asking them a simple question. Would you want a shorter season if your salary was smaller? 85.6% of them said no. The league wants their money. They want 82 games for financial reasons and TV deals. They've never mentioned shortening the regular season themselves because it will cut into their bottom line. We might not like that as fans, but that is the reality we're working with. Because of this, unique ideas such as a 30-minute restriction for players have been suggested. But what would that do to the product of the game? NBA coaches would be like rec basketball dads who need to play every player.
You're selfish, We cannot respond like that.
And players hate minutes restrictions. A lot of them, such as Tyrese Halliburton, are getting hurt because of how badly they want to play. However, there is an obvious solution here that I think fixes everything with essentially no downside. Increase the length of the season by 30 calendar days. 20 days in the regular season, 10 days in the postseason. Immediately, you might be thinking, but Mike, what about the NFL? Well, I've thought of that. One extra month would still mean the finals and the draft would take place before the NFL preseason begins. If the NBA wants to avoid the NFL to begin the free agency period as well, the league would just need to start the season a week earlier. Very easy. Right now, the NBA fits in 82 games into 173 days, which is not a lot of time for recovery. Teams average around 3.32 games a week, and what's worse, in 2025, teams played between 13 to 16 back-to-back games. An extra 20 days in the regular season not only lowers teams to 2.97 games a week, it also would provide a scheduling cushion to lower back-to-back games to just 5 to 8 per team. And even better, the playoffs are where we are seeing these injuries because playoff games are much more intense. LeBron on his podcast just suggested a month off between the regular season and the playoffs, which is extreme. However, 10 extra days built into the playoff schedule though would mean an extra 3 days of rest for every single round leading up to the finals. Then in the NBA finals, that one extra day added would mean every single finals game would be 3 days apart. This is what we need. 34 All-Stars missing playoff games in the last 5 years does not have to happen. Adding 30 calendar days to the season gives the players the rest they are asking for, while also not cutting into the NBA's bottom line. A win-win situation for everyone. And there we have it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you are new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications only if you enjoyed the content. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. You are awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day and cue that music.